Hey guys, Simon Bryson here, and today we're going to talk about 50 different books that I've actually read and what exactly I learned from them. But by the way, I've read over 100 books, but if I did that video, I would be here for literally like around 4 hours talking to you guys, and you guys probably wouldn't watch that whole video. So in this video, we're going to talk about the top 50 ones that I actually read, and on top of that, 1 to 2 sentences basically on the core idea of the book and also what I actually learned about the book. But I don't know about you guys, okay? But whenever I read a book like this on paper and I read it like this, I fall asleep, I get bored, I get distracted. So what I basically do is I listen to my books on Audible with my phone. And the idea is with Audible, if you sign up right now with my link down below, you get 2 free books, and even if you cancel, you still get to keep those 2 free books. So again, link down below, check it out. And if you're also new to my channel, guys, I also post on this channel every single day. So make sure to also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified. And on top of that, also destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Now, the first thing is this, okay, guys? Although you might hear me say, hey, I read over 100 books, you might think, Tommy, you must be a walking encyclopedia. You must know a lot about everything. But the truth is, guys, I can't even find my keys, my phone, my wallet, and my headphones half of the time. Because in reality, reading books is not about, hey, how much can you actually memorize? It's more about getting access to people and knowledge you'd probably never have access to. For example, I've learned from Benjamin Franklin, John D. Rockefella, Warren Buffett, Sam Walton, Caesar. I've learned from so many people that I will probably never have the chance to actually talk to, even Seneca. But the idea is that although I might never talk to them, I will always be able to learn from them from all these books and get all the knowledge. Because again, when you read a book, you don't need a mentor because all the information is right there for you. And on top of that, reading a lot of books from people that are smarter than you basically gives you solutions to problems that you will have in the future. So to me, reading a lot is like kind of like adding an extra file of solutions to my brain. So every time I get a problem, I know exactly how to solve it in accordance to how I learned from my mentor from those books, exactly how they solved it in the past also. And that's why I love reading. It's not about memorizing. It's more about learning from people you would probably never have the chance to ever learn from. Lifetimes of knowledge in like 3 hours or 2 hours, and that's actually, you can't actually price that if you ask me, okay? Well, you can price it at $10 or 15 bucks, but again, Audible is free, link down below. Now, let's get started, guys. And the first book that I actually read and started all of this is called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by Edgar T. Harv. Now, this book right here teaches you exactly how rich people think versus how poor people think, and how you can switch the way you actually think about money, finances, and also your future. Now, if it wasn't for this book right here, I would have never started reading all of the other books. So I actually enjoy this book a lot, but it's one of my favorite books because basically it's one of the first books I ever read. And I highly recommend it. It'll switch your brain about how you think about money versus how you used to think about money in the past. And I read this book when I was around 19 or 20 years old, one of those numbers right there, okay? Now, book number 2 is called The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, this book right here is a very simple book about budgeting, making money, and also how to basically manage all your money in a way that actually makes sense. And on top of that, especially paying back debt and a system to how to pay debt. Now, you might say, Tommy, okay, very common stuff, but in reality, this book is based on a story that's over 2,000 years old. So although you might say like, hey, finance is so complicated, finance is so simple to the point that it's still the same today how it used to be 2,000 years ago. And that's why I love this book. And I might even go as far to say it's my favorite book of all time. Now, number 3 is also The Richest Man in Babylon, but it's called the In Action one. So it's based on modern theory, like everything happens today and how to invest, for example, to your 401k, how to pay back your credit cards, and all the modern ways to manage your money. So it's still based on that 2,000-year-old book by George S Clason, but this one is actually more modern, and it's actually by Dan, okay? And he did a great job of breaking it down in a modern way so everyone can understand it. Now, book number 4 is actually Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, this book right here basically teaches you what an asset versus a liability is, and overall, assets put money in your pocket, liabilities take money out your pocket. And the whole goal here is to show you, hey, collect assets, make money, and then have that money pay for all the things you want but kind of don't need and are going to cost you money. And in reality, I used to really love this book, but in reality, the more I think about it, it's kind of like, hey, this type of leverage is very dangerous. So although I learned from this book, I wouldn't go as far to practice everything in this book. Number 5 is Rich Dad's Cashflow Quadrant, and this is also by Robert Kiyosaki. And the entire idea is that it shows you how do you want to earn your money from, for example, a normal job, self-employed, a business, S corp. It shows you the different ways to actually go out there, start a business, and actually start earning your money. Now, I used to love this book also, but then I also found out that basically the average millionaire has a 9-to-5 job. So it's not really relevant how much money you make. What's actually relevant is actually what you do with the money you actually earn. So although it's a great book, it's kind of like, okay, but it's not all that anymore because of all the new information I actually learned about a new book that I'll tell you about later on in this video. And number 6 is actually You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. Now this book right here is raw, it's unfiltered, and I love it. And the core idea that I learned is basically you don't want to make excuses for yourself, and on top of that, you don't want to negotiate with yourself ever. Whatever you say you're going to do it, and don't negotiate with yourself and like, hey, I'll do it tomorrow or the next day. The answer is no. Get it done right then and there. And by the way, again, it's probably like my top 3 book right here so far, okay? I love this book a lot. And number 7 is The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. Now this book is a solid book about how to invest in the stock market, but it's not simple at all. You will have to study this book, not just read it. And it's based on the firm foundation theory of investing, meaning you want to invest not based on the price of an asset or stock, but based on the value of the investment itself. So although Apple might be worth 400, well, that's the price. Is it actually worth that much money when you take into account, for example, all of his assets and everything that goes into the company? Again, this book is great, but it's a book you have to study and not just read. So you have to read it several times. And number 8 is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now this book right here is awesome, is great. And it's a book about how to become self-aware of your thoughts and where your thoughts are actually going to lead you. It's a book you have to read at least every 1 to 2 years over and over again. It keeps bringing everything back together. I actually like this book a ton. And number 9 is The Law of Attraction, or The Secret, the documentary or the movie by Rhonda. This book is actually pretty good. The idea is actually pretty solid, but I'm more of a, hey, as long as you work hard, you're going to get there. And I believe this entire book is based around like, hey, whatever you actually work for and whatever you deserve, you're going to get it eventually. But I'm not a part of like, hey, if you use crystals and vibrations in the air, you're going to basically get whatever you want. So let me vibrate higher. Ooh, oh my God, I just got my whole like Lamborghini. Let me drive around. The answer is I'm not a big fan of that, but I'm a big fan of, hey, whatever you do deserve, the universe is actually going to give you, so work hard to actually get what you actually want to get. And number 10 is actually On Effort Cell by Gary John Bishop. Now this book right here is direct to your face and tells you the truth at every moment and does not BS you in any way. And the core idea is basically whatever you want to achieve in life, you're either willing to do it or you're not willing to do it whatsoever. So you have to decide and you have to be 100% honest with yourself. And this book right here changed my life 100%, okay? And number 11 is The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F by Mark Manson. Now this book is basically, you might hear like, hey, not giving an F, so it must be a book about don't worry about anything. The answer is it's a book basically about like, hey, life is filled with distractions. So don't care about the distractions, only care about the things you actually care about and focus on those things. And that's the whole core idea of this book right here. And number 12 is called Extreme Ownership by Jocko. Now this book right here is by a Navy SEAL, and he talks about ownership of responsibility, basically meaning that whatever happens in your life, you are responsible for it, meaning you get the ability to actually take action and work from there. Stop thinking about like, hey, I'm the victim, it's not my fault. It's easy to do that, but it's harder to take responsibility and take action and learn from there. It's going to teach you a lot if you actually do decide to actually read this book right here. I loved it. And book number 13 is actually Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Now, I don't know when the movie is going to come up for this book, but we definitely need a movie about David Goggins' entire life because guys, okay, this guy is an animal when it comes to willpower and the ability to actually do exactly what you're going to say you're actually going to do. But on top of that, he comes from a background of pure madness. It's insane, it's sad, but it's also a story with actionable steps on what to do to actually become a better you at all times. Number 14 is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Now this book right here is basically about whenever you want to start something, either a business or you want to work on something, you also want to start with why. Why do you want this? Because basically, if you don't know why you're doing something, it's going to be very hard to accomplish it. And on top of that, it's kind of like doing something without any focus, without any mission, without any personal reason. So in reality, it's probably going to turn into nothing. So always have a powerful why. Why do I want more money? Why do I want to do YouTube? Why do I want this? When you get to the why, the real reason, it's going to become very easy to actually accomplish it, because you always know, hey, this is why I want what I want. Number 15, Mastery by Robert Greene. This book got me so mad because basically it told me the truth about basically how long it's going to take me to become a master at my craft. And according to him, it's around 10 years, okay? And the idea is that if you want to become a master or whatever, you have to spend around 10,000 hours at your craft, and it's 100% true, proven by everything he says in this book right here. But overall, now I understand it, and I get that, hey, if you want to become the best, you have to put in the work, and you have to keep focusing and focusing on focusing. I read this book twice, even though it's like a 23 to 20 hour read, okay? But I love this book a ton. Number 16 is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Now this book right here is all about negotiations, okay? And by the way, as an American, and Americans like all over the place, well, guess what? People in America do not like to negotiate, but you need to learn how to negotiate whenever it comes to a house or anything out there. And this book is going to teach you that. And by the way, Chris Voss is actually a negotiator for hostages. So he knows what he's talking about. So I highly recommend you read this book if you want to learn about negotiation skills. And book number 17 is Sam Walton, Made in America by Sam Walton. Now this guy is the guy that actually founded and created Walmart. It's his story from start to end. And by the way, unfortunately, he's not here anymore. But I wish I had the chance to meet this man. But unfortunately, I won't. But at least I got to meet him through his books, through his knowledge, and what he actually left behind. I love this book and the values about money and business that it puts into each and every single one of us. I highly recommend it, okay? On top of that, number 18 is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Now, this book teaches you exactly the cycle of how the brain works when it comes to a habit. Basically, you have a cue, you have a routine, and then you have, for example, a reward. If you can understand that, then you can put new habits in your lifetime to then basically make you a better person or accomplish whatever you want to accomplish, whether it's exercise, running, or making more money, or just working more, okay? It's all about the habits you have in your life. Number 19 is Titan, The Life of John D. Rockefella by Ron. Now this book is about the life of John D. Rockefella, one of the first monopolies ever created in America, thus making him one of the first billionaires in American history according to the inflation of back then to today. This book is insane. It shows you how you can go from nothing to something massive, and all you need is an idea and also the hard work and dedication to actually get there. Because again, John D. Rockefeller did not come from riches or anything like that. I love this book. It's a great story. You should definitely read this one. Number 20 is actually The Way to Wealth by Benjamin Franklin. Now this book, although it's simple, it teaches you exactly about debt, about money, what to buy and what not to buy. And it's around 50 to 40, maybe 70 pages. Very short, but also very insightful. And because back then, when you actually owed money, if you didn't pay back, you would go to jail. It's a very good way to see exactly how they thought about money back then also. And guys, by the way, this is the first part of the video. It's over, the first 20. And now the second part of this video is all about the books I recently just read and I actually like and actually want to share with you, okay? So if you made it to this part of the video, congratulations, you're here. Part 2 begins now. And now 21 is basically As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Now James Allen is responsible for all the self-help books that you know today. Why? Because he started everything back in like 1902 or 1901 back then. So in reality, if you want to know about the godfather of self-help book and what he thinks about how man's supposed to think, in reality, it's a great book that teaches you exactly how whatever you think, that's what you're actually going to become. I highly recommend this book. Again, probably in my top 5 of all time. Number 22 is basically I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. Now this book is about the basics of investing, paying back debt, credit cards, also buying your first car, and a bunch of different factors when it comes to finance. So it's very simple, and although it's simple, once you know everything in this book, you'll be a part of the 10 to 3% of people that actually know something about finance, because most people don't know anything at all when it comes to finance. So this book is actually a great read also. And number 23, the book about rental property investing by Turner. Now this book right here is pretty solid, but it says everything in the title. It's a book basically about how to go out there, invest into real estate, and also start your own rental property business in a sense. And it teaches you exactly how to get that done step by step. It's a great book, a great tutorial. Number 24 is Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter by 50 Cent. Now this book is for anyone out there that wants to start a business, get into the music industry or anything like that, because basically this book shows you how you can go from living in Queens and selling whatever you were selling back then to then becoming a mogul today, and how he did it and why he thinks about money and also about people in his life and how you can actually use this for yourself. And it also has a lot of actionable steps so you can take it also to become a little bit more successful. Number 25, Caesar and Christ by Will Durant. I know it sounds like a religious book, but in reality, it's not. It's a book about history that shows you exactly how it used to be back in the Roman era. And the answer is, once you learn about history back then, you know that today things are a lot more similar, and you can tell exactly how things are going to move forward in the future also. So I always recommend read books about history, really good books about history by Will Durant. He has a whole bunch of series on it, and I love him so much because basically I hated history, but after reading him, I love history and what it teaches about finance and also about money, about marriage, and about a bunch of different things. Number 26, The 80-20 Rule by Richard. Now this book right here shows you basically that 80% of your results are based on 20% of the actions you actually do. And also that 20% of the people control 80% of the world. So it's kind of like this average and this ratio about how life actually works. I highly recommend it because basically if you have a business, if you have a job, if you work, if you're unemployed, self-employed, whatever you want to be, the idea is it's going to show you how to optimize your life and your work to actually get more things done with actually using less of your time. It's a pretty solid book and I actually like it. Number 27, It's All in Your Head by Russ, which is a hip hop artist. Now what he says here is basically there are 3 things to success, and those 3 things are patience, the ability to keep learning, and also the ability to keep working hard. If you do those 3 things right there, you're going to get to your goal. And I also agree with what he says in this book, and it's a great book. I highly recommend it, guys. On top of that, number 28 is The Lessons of History by Will Durant, another Will Durant book in my list right here. It's about the big picture stuff when it comes to our civilization and what's going to happen in the future based on what actually happened in the past. It's one of my favorite books because basically it shows you the future based on the past. And by the way, the big stuff in history always tends to repeat. Number 29, Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. Now this book is about finance, also about how to make more money, and it tells you a lot about actionable steps when it comes to your finances, retirement, and a lot more things. And number 30 is Flow by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. It's a very weird last name, but I already learned it and I'm actually very proud about it. But this book is about how to master focus and concentration, kind of like going back to when you were a kid and play video games for hours and never felt tired. Well, basically, he talks about how to put that entire idea of concentration into your modern day life when it comes to work and doing what you actually enjoy to do. It's about ultimate focus when it comes to everything, concentration, and that's kind of called flow. You focus, time passes, and you don't really see time passing whatsoever because you actually enjoy what you're actually doing. Number 31, The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss. Now this book is actually pretty solid. It's not a book about how to work 4 hours a week. It's more of a book about how to optimize your day and actually start a business that actually runs automatically. Was actually pretty cool, and it has a whole bunch of resources, and this is probably one of the books I would read if I didn't know exactly what to do right now with my life and how to actually get started. It's a great book about actual steps about how to start a business and have everything run for you automatically, which is pretty cool. And number 32 is a little book about common sense investing by John C. Bogle, the founder of Vanguard and index fund investing. It'll show you exactly a bulletproof plan when it comes to investing in your future and how to make sure you can actually guarantee your returns in the future. It's a very solid book. I recommend it for all investors out there. It's one of my top 3 investing books out there. Number 33, The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas and William. Now, this book showed me the truth about millionaires in America, and it's not about having a ton of money, some nice cars, a lot of girls, but it's more about like, hey, the average millionaire does not buy expensive clothes, does not buy a new car, and also has a 9-to-5 job. This book I actually read that contradicted everything that Rich Dad actually said based on actual facts and everything, okay? So I highly recommend this book if you're also going to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Number 34, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Now, this book is how to build a network of people to actually help you with creating your entire millionaire plan. And this book is actually by Gary Keller. Great book also by Gary Keller. And number 35 is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, this book shows you basically, you want to treat people not how you want to be treated, but basically how they want to be treated. And it shows you social skills when it comes to how do you communicate with people and how do you win friends and basically influence people. It's one of my favorite books by far with the most knowledge that actually helped me become the person I am today. So again, it's probably also in the top 10 or top 5 of my all-time favorite books. And number 36 is On the Shortness of Life by Seneca. Now, this is one of the oldest books here, and it's over 2,000 years old. Now, this book is all about that life is not short, but it's actually long as you use it correctly and don't waste it. I highly recommend this book. It's like around 90 pages, very short, but also very insightful when it comes to life and how to actually live your life. Number 37, 100 Side Hustles by Chris Guillebeau. This book is for anyone out there that needs ideas when it comes to, hey, what type of business or side hustles do I actually want to start? Well, this book has over 100 ideas, and I recommend this one if you don't know exactly what to do. And number 38 is Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker. Now, this book is all about you want to build on your strengths and not on your weaknesses, because if you build on your weaknesses, you'll be average at that, but if you build on your strength, you'll be great at that. And that is the core idea of this book right there. Now, number 39 is Profit First by Mike. Now, this book right here is all about, hey, whenever you start a business, you want to make sure it's going to be profitable, and you want to make sure it's a blessing that's going to give you money and is not going to cost you any money. And it also gives you a full-on blown out plan about how to structure all the accounts when it comes to your entire business. It's a pretty cool book, if you ask me, one of my favorites. And the author actually sent me a bunch of books that I gave away to all of my subscribers, so around 10 of them, okay? Now, number 40 is Crushing It by Gary Vee. If you want to learn about social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, it's a great book to actually get you started. And the core idea is find a niche, work hard at it, upload a ton of content, and then every 18 months pivot and see exactly what you can actually do better. It's a great book, very basic, but also very knowledgeable, because again, not everything has to be complicated, okay? And guys, by the way, this is part 2. So far, we talked about the top 20, also top 40, and now we're going to the last 10 of all of my top 50 books. Now, the last 10 is all about books that actually changed my life and had more impact when it comes to life lessons, okay? Not just money and history, but more about life lesson books, okay? So we made it all the way here. Well, it's one of the most important parts of this video right here. Now, number 41 is I Can't Make This Up by Kevin Hart. Now, this book is about the story of Kevin Hart and how he came from a tragic background to then becoming a successful entrepreneur and also a successful mogul that has his own production company. I love this book because basically it's someone that comes from the same background as I that basically accomplished so much, and that is awesome to me, okay? Number 42 is called The Selfish Gene by Richard. And by the way, by this point, if you don't know, every book I mentioned here is down in the links below. But this book is all about biology and also evolution and how genes and cells actually do whatever they do to actually try to survive over a long period of time, millions of years, thousands of years. And by the way, if you're religious, this book, you should read it still, because basically it shows you perspective also on the other side, which I always think is a good thing to know, okay? Because you just can't be focused on one thing. You have to learn about the other stuff too. That way you have a more broad perspective on everything. Highly recommend it. Number 43 is Total Recall by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now this book right here is honestly an unbelievable story. I can't believe it, but then again, it's real because Arnold Schwarzenegger is a real person, and he definitely did everything he said in this book. And by the way, he came from a very, very poor country in Russia and basically became one of the biggest movie stars ever in American history. And he did all this stuff just with thoughts, hard work, ideas, and also always living up to what he actually said he was actually going to do. I highly recommend this book if you feel like you're down on your luck and you feel like, hey, I don't know what I want to do. You'll see that what Arnold did puts you like 10 times ahead of him just by being here in America today in this century. Number 44 is The Snowball by Alice. This is a book about Warren Buffett, his life, and how he got where he is today. It's a book I actually enjoy because basically it gave me perspective on Warren and what he did in his early ages and also now when he's actually an older man. I love this book a lot. It showed me a deeper perspective on the entire Oracle of Omaha. I love this book. And I also love Warren. It's a great guy. And number 45 is The 12 Rules of Life by Jordan B. Peterson. Now this book is controversial. The guy is also controversial, but overall, it's a pretty solid book that I recommend every single person actually read. And guess what, guys? I don't have to agree with every single point this person makes in his book and also in his personal life, but the core idea is that I actually enjoy his book. And don't be like, hey, I don't like that guy. No. Listen to what he has to say because some people, although you might not like them, they might have things that you actually need to learn about also. And number 46 is The Everything Store by Bird Stone. Now this book is about Amazon and how it became Amazon, and every single entrepreneur out there should read this book. And basically the core idea of Amazon has always been and will always be its customers and helping out the customer. And guess what? That was also and still is a core idea of Walmart. And that's why these companies are so massive and so big, because basically they always focus on the customer and not just the money, the revenue, the sales, the volume. No, it's all about the customers. No customers, no money, no sales, no anything. Every entrepreneur should read this book. Number 47. The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Now this guy right here actually passed away, honestly, like in a car crash, and then woke up and changed his whole life. And it's basically about exactly what to do when you actually wake up in the morning to have a very successful day. And I actually like this book a lot. And number 48 is The Millionaire Booklet by Grant Cardone. Now, although Grant Cardone is a great guy, I don't agree with everything he says in this book. But the point is, again, it's a great book, very short, to the point. But the core idea is that, hey, if you want to become wealthy, you have to do wealthy things. So again, read this book, read it, understand it, but you don't have to agree with everything Grant thinks in his life and also with everything he does out there, because I definitely don't. And number 49 is basically two books, 49 and 50, that taught me things that I didn't have, because basically, as you guys know, I grew up with a single mom. My dad was never really there. So I didn't really learn everything when it came to like, hey, how do I talk to girls? Okay, I'm not embarrassed to say I didn't really know about any of that stuff. So basically, number 49 is basically women are from Venus and men are from Mars. This book taught me about how men think versus how women think. By the way, it's not like, oh my gosh, like, like all that extra stuff like in today, like society. No, the answer is, it's just basic stuff to help you understand exactly why you are the way you are as a guy, and also how to talk to people that are obviously the opposite sex as you are. And number 50, the end here, guys, is called The 3% Rule. And by the way, Men Are From Mars and Women From Venus is actually by John Gray. And this last book, The 3% Man, is obviously by Corey Wayne. Now this this guy sounds like Batman, but he talks about exactly how you can actually go out there and attract women and how to actually maintain a good, healthy relationship. And those things I never learned because basically my dad was never there. And that's fine. A lot of people go through that. It's not an excuse, but you can learn all this stuff from other people that are out there in the internet. And that's why I love reading books. But guys, that is it. you made it all the way to the end of the video. And if you actually liked at least 2 of the books I actually read here, and you're actually interested in it, I highly recommend get my Audible link down below and get those 2 free books and start reading it today. And I recommend read at least like 10 minutes to an hour every single day and just get started, okay? The faster you get started, the better it is. I did not read over 100 books in 1 day or 2 days. I actually read it in 3 days. Obviously, I'm kidding. It took me over like 1 to 2 years to actually do. It takes time, but the more you learn, you're going to get there, okay? But guys, overall, comment down below. Let me know, was this video helpful? Did you actually enjoy it? And are you actually going to go ahead and read some of these books? Comment down below. Let me know. And by the way, if you have any ideas for books, comment them down below also, and I'll also read them and make videos about them on this channel also. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, well, like this video. If you're new here, well, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified. And also, follow me on Instagram, Bryson. And on top of that, I also have a full playlist with all the books I mentioned here with full-on reviews. Well, here's that playlist right here. And click my face right now. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And as always, peace.